This is Kristi from birdmentor.com, where I teach advanced skills to beginning birders, and thanks for joining me this morning. It's a bit cold, so I've got my warm tea, and you can probably see my breath. So I want to see, do you remember last week when we talked about the 3 different approaches to getting the bird? So if you haven't seen that video yet, it's okay. I'm going to be posting a link down below, so go ahead and watch that before you watch this one. And now some of you might be wondering, okay, so what's the big deal? So you get the shy bird to come up and show itself to you, but you know, who really cares? Well, I'd like you guys to consider why that bird is shy to begin with. And just to tell you, it's not just to frustrate you or play hard to get. There's 2 really important reasons, and there's probably more, but these are the 2 I'm going to focus on today. And the first is just considering that its food source is most likely low to the ground. And why this is important is because unlike humans, like we can survive for at least 30 days, if not more, without any food. And most birds, at least the small ones, they sometimes can't even make it through the night, especially on a cold night, without enough calories. So every moment is critical for them throughout the day, and especially during the winter and migration. The second reason I want you guys to think about is that it's a strategy to keep them safe from predators. So when we force them up, if they tend to be low to the ground and we force them up, we expose them to aerial predators, to other predators in the area. And you know, in certain circumstances, like out here in the middle of this beautiful field, it might not be that big of a deal. But if you're in a really highly and heavily birded area, like let's say Central Park or something, most likely you have a guy over here who's pishing to call the birds, and you have someone else over here who's using their app, someone else over there who's pishing with another group. So it really can have, can basically take its toll on the birds. Knowing all of this, does that mean you just have to let the shy ones go, never to be seen? Not necessarily. I think if we take Paul's approach from last week's video and learn to blend in with what's around us, also letting go of our need and desire to see that bird and considering what that bird needs, I think it is possible. So what does this actually look like? Well, let's take a minute and go to a recent outing of mine with a couple of my students and see what they have to say. And I'm just curious, what would you guys do if we wanted to get closer to the bird?
We'd probably stop talking.
Probably stop talking, that's a good first thing. Would we maybe try to be like any kind of animal?
Like a deer, maybe?
Like a deer. So how would we be like deer?
Take a few steps and stop.
Take a few steps and stop? That's a good idea.
Look around.
We pretend to eat vegetation.
Maybe graze a little bit. I think those are great ideas. They're pretty good sports, aren't they? So imagine what would happen if you approached your favorite birding area as the gentle doe, right? So unless it's a deer in rut, deer generally have a very gentle presence in nature, and they tend not to scare the birds. In fact, there's even some birds that will feast on the back of a deer, the ticks and things like that. Let me share a little story with you from just a couple weeks ago. I was out on this piece of land where I work, and I was being the deer, or being the doe, and I noticed this really beautiful hermit thrush. It jumped down from a low branch and it started feeding on the ground. And with every hop that it took, it came closer and closer and closer to me. And I am certain that I never would have seen this bird if I wasn't being the deer, because first of all, they're really shy birds to begin with. And second of all, it's the fall time, as you can see. And the birds, this in particular species, is not singing their song. So if I was just walking along doing my thing, I probably wouldn't have seen it. Okay, so how can you be the deer? Well, first of all, you need to stop talking. So if you're with a couple other people, just quiet yourselves. And the next thing you can do is move slower. So just slow yourself down, get down to like a really nice slow pace. And think about the deer. Like, how does the deer move? If you've ever watched a deer in the forest, if you haven't, get out there and watch a deer. But generally what they do is they'll take a couple steps and then they'll pause and they'll look around. They might smell the air, they might listen really carefully. So the next thing to do is kind of fun for me, and that's where you graze like a deer. And so you just walk up to a shrub and you pretend that you are nibbling or eating on that bush. And you can actually take a bite of it if you know what it is, for instance, like a little pine tree or something like that, or a rose hip. go ahead and take a nibble, but only if you really are certain of what the plant is. And the last piece is if a bird does approach you and does come close, try not to stare at it. Don't look directly at it, maybe out of the corner of your eye, so that you don't cause it to flush and fly away. So get out there, go be the deer. Let me know what you think. Please share in the comments below what your experience was like. I'd love to know. And if you like this video, if you're watching it on YouTube, please like my channel. And otherwise, I'll see you next week.